Hey race fans, welcome into another episode of Backseat Drivers. I'm Alex Weaver. I'm now going to be joined by Jonathan Merriman and Kim Kuhn. Talladega, we saw the awesome finish, saw the awesome racing that Talladega always brings, but I have to say the moment of the race was pre-race with Bubba Wallace and the Unity in the garage, that moment down pit road. Pretty awesome stuff.
Yeah, I think it just reflects well of what the sport's about. You know, we are a family. Everybody rallied around Bubba. Not only the drivers but the crews. It was a good moment to show the country, you know, what NASCAR stands for.
Yeah, I love the solidarity it represented and just that our sport's a family. And, you know, it started as a driver thing. They were going to kind of unite and stand with Bubba, and it turned into basically the entire industry that was at track. And just seeing some of those shots, especially from above, how poignant that moment was. I'm not going to lie, a little misty-eyed.
Me too. Cried for sure at the start of the race. Knew it was going to be a very moving moment. It did not disappoint. His best friend ends up winning the race, though, Ryan Blaney. Kim, you can't be biased because your glass case of emotion co-host gets a win. His first one in 2020. But we have to think of Blaney when it comes to super speedways now because he's looking like quite the stud when we get to the super speedways.
Absolutely. I've got a dog in the background that's going to join us. Yes, he is always up front when we're at the super speedways. I don't know that I would call him singularly the best at this point. He's certainly one of the best, but I would say collectively Team Penske is the best super speedway team. If you look at both Joey and Brad's stats along with Ryan's, I mean, Brad 6 career wins on super speedways. Joey's got 4. Now Ryan's got 2. And wouldn't call Blaney the very best yet, but he's certainly making a case for himself.
His car yesterday was bar none the fastest thing on that racetrack. He was able to just make the outside work, make the inside work, make the bottom work. Whenever he wanted to get to the front, he could do it, which was really impressive. He for sure has got something locked in with it. And the fact that he was able to take that shot from Brad midway through that race, and his car was, you know, I'm exaggerating a little bit, but it looked like it was completely sideways, and he still drove past Stenhouse and took the lead was incredible. So his style, just, you know, what he's about, Talladega, and him being good at Talladega just fits Ryan Blaney for some reason.
Okay, so now I do want to revisit a Backseat Drivers episode that we did preseason. Who in Team Penske in 2020 is going to be the first to go to victory lane?
I would say probably Joey Logano, but I think the person who nets out the most by the end of the year is probably Blaney.
Kim, close your ears because Merriman was right, which I hate to say it. But you picked Joey Logano out of these Penske driver crew chief switch up to get the first win. It happened.
We've known this for a long time. I'm finally glad that everyone's waking up. But look, the reason I picked Joey Logano to be an early front runner at Penske is because Paul has had a championship run with Keselowski. They've been together. They're a little bit more tenured in the garage. So I just feel like a veteran driver like Joey would pair better with Paul in terms of early success. But I'll still stick by what I said. I still think by the end of the year we're going to see the 12 car and Todd Gordon and Ryan Blaney net out in the long game. All those Penske cars have won. It's super impressive. I wouldn't be surprised if, you know, all 3 of them weren't in contention to make it to Phoenix at the end of the year. I just think long term, once we get into September, October, November, that the 12 car is going to look really, really sharp.
I typically like to say that Kim is always right, but she wasn't on that episode, so I can't say that with her. But Kim, we're giving you a chance now. Who do you think, come the end of 2020 in that season, who do you think is going to be the best Penske car?
Oh, that's so tough to say. And I'm actually pleasantly surprised with the pairing of Brad Keselowski and Jeremy Bullins. I thought, not that they were going to be the weakest link, but they've certainly already made it to victory lane. I'm not playing favorites, and I hate that. I'm kind of on board with what Jonathan said, but Todd Gordon is just so smart, and Ryan Blaney, in the hands of Todd Gordon, I just think that they could be unstoppable, especially as they continue to click and gel and continue to build a relationship and a trust between the two of them. So I'm going to go the 12 car by the end of the season is the front runner of the Penske cars.
We're going to change things up, switch it up a little bit. We're going from a super speedway of Talladega to now the tricky triangle, 3 turns of Pocono. And we don't get one race at Pocono. We're doing 2 back-to-back for a doubleheader What can we expect from the 3 turns at Pocono? Because teams, you either have Pocono figured out or you don't.
Hell if I know. I got no idea what to expect. We talked on the preview show. We expect Gibbs to be good. I have a sneaking suspicion that the 4 car is going to run well there. These races are a little bit shorter, so what does that do to the fuel mileage scenario? We always talk about, running this race in reverse, sort of like a road course. We also compare it a lot to Indianapolis and how that is. So I don't know. I mean, if you look at the pedigree that Joe Gibbs Racing has, there's no way to think we're going to come out of that weekend without a Gibbs car in one of the 2 victory lanes we have there. So it's a different animal. We've had double headers before earlier in the year, but, we had days in between the races. These are back-to-back Saturday, Sunday. So I think we're going to get a heck of a show. I'm just not sure what to expect.
Yeah, new territory definitely for everyone with back-to-back days of racing. But they are shorter races. You have a 325 and a 350. So in terms of the physicality on the drivers, I don't know that it's going to be like if we were to have to run, 2 400s or a 4 and a 500. So that should be interesting. But I definitely have my eye on JGR too, specifically Kyle and Denny. If any drivers in the field could sweep it, I think it could be one of those 2. You've got Kyle, he's got 3 wins there. After kind of finally figuring it out in the last handful of years. And then Denny, Denny's so good at so many tracks, but I think we forget how good he is at Pocono, 5 wins there. And the last time we were there, he's the one that ended up in victory lane, and he's hot this season. So if I could pick anybody to even sweep the weekend, but definitely get one of the wins, it probably would be Denny Hamlin.
The person that I think has the best chance to sweep the weekend hasn't won at Pocono in his whole career, and he's been around a long time. And yes, I'm calling him old. It's Kevin Harvick. He's yet to check that off the box. I just think the way that Kevin is running this year, I think if they can nail the setup in that first race, they're going to be heck to deal with when it comes to that second race. So I actually think Kevin Harvick has the best shot at sweeping both races this weekend.
Is it time to start worrying now with those guys around the cut line? Because you're getting to the turning point in the season where your season can go one of 2 ways. So in the back of your mind, if you're 16, 17, you worried?
Kim, what do you think?
I think there's still a little too much time to be very worried. If you're kind of in that bubble zone, you definitely need to pick it up a little bit. But I don't know that you're sweating yet. And kind of looking at kind of that situation on who's in and who's out. I've got my eye on a couple of guys. Tyler Reddick, oh man, I would love to see him make the playoffs as a rookie. And then in terms of maybe somebody who's in trouble and I think probably won't make it, his teammate Austin Dillon. Dangerous territory. He was in before Dega. He's out now. And looking at the schedule kind of outside of Daytona, I don't necessarily think that we hit many of what I'd consider Austin's strong tracks before the end of the regular season. So those are 2 guys kind of in the bubble zone that I have my eye on. But again, I think it's too early to be really concerned.
I would agree with you mostly. I do think that now things are going to have to tighten up. I think some things will tighten up here around the cut line. Just taking a look at it, Byron's in 14th, DiBenedetto's in 15th, Reddick, like you said, was in 16th, and then Eric Jones is sitting there in 17th place. If you are one of those guys, if you're a crew chief, you're checking that out. You're strategizing to win a couple stages here coming up. And look, Pocono might offer the best chance to do that with the pit strategy and staying out. So when you think about it, there's 40 points. You got 4 stages and 2 race wins. Maybe we'll see some games this weekend, and maybe we'll look at those points and scratch our heads even more next week.
Check out all the racing action coming up from Pocono. We're racing at the Tricky Triangle. Saturday's the first one coming up at 3:30 on Fox, and then we're racing again the following day on Sunday at 4 p.m. on FS1. You don't want to miss it. Guys, thank you. See you soon.